So now, go right.
I thought we were going to take it to the real world.
Oh, not yet. You'll be introduced there eventually, don't worry. So you're first, and you killed her.
Nice.
To start a car with a manual transmission, all you have to do is push down the clutch fully and then turn the key. And before you take off, put down the parking brake. Gear, all you have to do is pretty much just let off. See, my foot is not on the gas.
See?
And she
going.
We
moving.
See, now, if you notice, I did not take my foot all the way off the clutch. I only went a little bit. Purely because you don't have to go all the way. Once it starts to bite, you can just keep your foot there. First gear, often the most difficult thing for new drivers, purely because they go and that. If you take your left foot off the clutch too quickly past the bite point, the engine will most likely stall. Notice how there's no action on the tachometer, so now I'm going to put my foot back on the clutch, restart. Still in first gear. Now this time, I'll hit the... See, now that's where it's starting to move. My foot is not all the way off the clutch. You don't need to move it all the way off the clutch for it to start to move. This point where the car starts to react to your input on the clutch is often called the bite point. Now that you've reached the bite point, your left foot must be much more cautious than it was. Very slowly do you move your left foot off the clutch. And then you gas while you're doing it. And then you're free to go. Thank you. And then once you push back in the clutch, the car is free to coast. If I don't, I slow down. Clutch back in. Now I'm just coasting. Wow, Tesla's new autopilot is nice. Alright, so now I'm going to continue going. We'll start from stop again just to get a recap. So, it's starting to bite. Gas. I'll let off. See, I'm holding my foot there. I'm holding my left foot. Now fully off. So, do you remember
Clutch first.
Clutch always first. If your hand's going to be going onto the shifter, it's a good rule of thumb to know pushing the clutch. Alright, so remember, you can get that bite point, and then you hold your foot, start to gas, and then slowly let off a little bit more on that clutch. There you go.
Now we cruising.
Overall, Tyrel was the quickest learner that I've ever seen, but despite this, he did have a few mess-ups. How do you handle stress?
I absorb it.
Alright, well, I guess we're gonna find out if you truly absorb it.
Oh shit, this is...
You'll be cool. You don't usually want to... Okay, clutch. Turn it back on. I'm going about 45 in fourth gear. If you can see the tachometer, I'm holding 2100 RPMs. If I shift down to third at going the same speed, now I have 2900 RPMs. Take into account that peak torque comes in at 4500 RPM. So if I want to accelerate hard, that'll work. But if I want to accelerate harder, second gear works. Think of shifting gears in the same way that you would think of changing gears on a bike. If you're going up hills, you downshift because it's easier to pedal that way. Or, in other words, you have more torque. Now if you're on a flat ground and cruising at a faster pace,
You wouldn't leave it in a low gear because then you would have to pedal much faster. So you would just switch to a higher gear so you could relax a little bit. That's essentially what you're doing when you're downshifting or upshifting in a car with a manual transmission. You're choosing the gear that best fits the changing situations. Now, when shifting, another key idea is rev matching. What the clutch pedal is doing is simply separating the engine from the load of the transmission. So, if you push in the clutch fully, the engine will go back to an idle, despite the speed of the wheel's rotation. Now, if you want to reintroduce the engine to the transmission smoothly, you have to do what is called rev matching. Rev matching is gassing the engine just before you re-engage it to the transmission, through the release of the clutch. I'm in 5th gear, but I need to accelerate, so I push in the clutch, flip the throttle, and then release the clutch. 4th gear is better, but it's still not cutting it, so I repeat the process and now I'm into 3rd. Now it's pulling hard, but I'm near the red line, so I shift back to 4th, and then to 5th. Okay, now I'm going to slow it down real quick. The first thing that you have to do is push in the clutch. After that, you blip the throttle while downshifting, then you release the clutch and gas. When upshifting, there's no need in rev matching, so you can just let the revs fall naturally and it should be good. Think of it like this. If you jump off a moving skateboard and just stand straight, you'll always bust your ass. That's why when you jump off a skateboard, your feet naturally try to bring themselves up to the speed that your body is traveling. Now, add in gears and you're rev matching.
So now we're in 2nd. So carry a little bit more speed through this. Like you hold this speed, push in the clutch, and go around this corner.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so now you got to be smooth, just like that. Most of the time, that's what takes forever for people to do. Because you have to bring the tachometer up to the correct amount of RPMs or close to it in order for the car to not be disrupted. There you go. See, it's smooth. It's very smooth. Then clutch and shift to 2nd. Clutch and shift to 3rd. Just straightforward. So it's in neutral, and then you're just gonna go, yep, there you go. Oh, you're over revving it. You only need to be maybe 1500 RPMs right now. You're going so slow.
I got it.
And now just let off the clutch. See, 1500.
Is this a respectable speed?
I mean, you can honestly put it in 4th now. So if you're going 40 and you just like manhandled it into 2nd, it would pass a lot quicker than if you just left it in 4th and just tried to gas it, which is actually worse on the engine. See, now you're gonna have to downshift to 2nd.
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
Oh, there's a stop sign. It won't go into 1st yet. You gotta be at a stop or close to it, mainly because the transmission's old. But that and
Don't kill it.
oh, okay, that was close, but you're good. You made it.
Tyrel picked this up very quickly, and I have to mention this because usually there's a bit more trial and error. So for those of you who have had struggles with manuals in the past, I urge you to keep trying. It's really just a matter of muscle memory. You will get there. Just give it some time and relax. That being said, go out and have some fun with this, and I'll see you on the next one.
Oh, how did it not die? I saw the tach go to 0. I saw it go to 0.
You underestimate my abilities.
You just like fucking took a to it.